Hello, 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 good afternoon, and welcome to the Globuntu Books Studio. Today is Saturday, and we have another masterclass. And this masterclass today is an extraordinary, exceptional masterclass because I don't have a guest in the studio, and it is not really exactly the School of Life masterclass as we are used to having on Saturdays. Today, we have a masterclass on something that I am so passionate about, and that is writing. So that's hello and welcome. My name is Beatrice Achaleke. I am the serial author of the Africa for Smart Kids book series and publisher of Globuntu Books. So today we're talking all things books, book writing. And I know that there was never a better time to write a book than now. And if you stick on with me, I will give you all the reasons, and not just the reasons, but also the tools that can allow you to start writing your book quite soon, immediately, I want to say. So if you're here, I want to tell you that I see you, I acknowledge you. I am streaming this free masterclass on Facebook and on YouTube, and I am taking comments. So if you're out there, you join the class, take advantage of the time that I have with you now. Take advantage of this free class and ask as many questions, participate as much as possible, and get as much content as you can because again, this is a free class and I am super happy to share my resources with you. So who am I to teach you, to talk to you about writing? Who am I to facilitate your writing process? So let me tell you a quick story about me. I am the serial author of 23 books and 9 ebooks, all of those written in a very short period of time. It's not like I have always written books. No. I remember when I was a child, I always wanted to have something to do with writing. I remember writing my first pieces when I was in secondary school, and I will hide and have pieces of paper to write write my thoughts, write novels I dreamed of. I don't know, I'm that generation. The 70s generation when there were novels, you still had novels. We did not have the TV and all of this social media thing. We had books, and there was a series of books, novels called Meals and Bones. I remember I will hide and read those books, and I always thought like I was going to be one of the publishers in one of the authors of Meals and Bones. I actually sent in my first manuscript, but never got any result. And so when you grow up and you think about creative careers, it's sometimes quite difficult that the environment that we grow up in does not really support that, because everyone thinks that you should grow up and have a white collar job like becoming a lawyer, a doctor, the classical things. And so I had to go through so many other processes. I registered for law at the University of Yaoundé, and I was kicked out because I joined the student movement. And then when I moved to Austria, I registered for sociology at the University of Vienna. But somehow, inside of me, I always wanted to write. But when you go through those journeys, there come a point where you begin to doubt. Raise your hand if you understand me. You doubt in yourself. You think like, who am I to write a book? Who is going to read my book? There's so many books on the shelves. Why should someone pick my book? And what if people judge me? And me, I am a dyslexic, so I write with a lot of typos. So if you're like me, you wonder, you doubt even more whether you should write a book. But hey, let me tell you, life is a story. And every one of us has a story. Some stories are life transformational. But if you never tell that story, you may never really know how transformational, what an inspiration you can be in someone else's life. And Dr. Maya Angelou said, when you teach, I have learned my lessons in writing 23 books, 9 ebooks. And so I think I have learned enough lessons to be able to tell you 1 or 2 things about how to write a book. And also, I have been able to coach more than 15 kids to write and have their books published. Some of them are award winners, and some adults as well. So I do know a thing or 2 about writing books, and I'm super happy to share those tips with you here today. In the beginning, I said there was never a better time to write a book than now, and I will tell you why. I will tell you why I think there was never a better time to write a book than now. The reason is simple. We all are going through something that we have never gone through before. Okay, if you're my generation, you would have heard your grandparents, or you would have heard elderly people around you talk to you about the First World War, the Second World War, and all those things. You must have heard something about other pandemics, but we never really went through that. We never really imagined or understand what it meant. But right now, we have our own pandemic. We're all living in that generation. And there are reasons why I think that this calls for us to write books. Number one is because you want to create a legacy, right? When you write, you create a blueprint legacy. That is one way that allows you to stay alive. That's one way that allows you to create that legacy that is always there. It allows you to share your lessons with someone. Okay, so imagine your great grandchildren. Imagine, I don't know how old you are, but imagine we are in the year 2099, and someone is talking about a pandemic that kind of devastated, kind of took over the whole world from 2020. And then your great grandchildren are thinking, what was it like? My grandma or my great grandma, my grandpa lived through that time. How was it like? I wonder how it was like for them. In order to kind of see into the future and provide that legacy that will allow them to remember you, you just have to write. You have to write, because even though we all are going through so many things like being locked down and all of those things, no one is experiencing it the way you are. So your particular experience based on where you were before the pandemic and what you're going through during this pandemic, you have a unique experience that is a story of its own, and it is worth telling. It is worth telling. If not to the world around you right now, to your great grandchildren, to the next generation. And I think it is our responsibility to write that book. Okay. The second reason is that whatever it is that life is throwing at you during this pandemic or before the pandemic, writing is one of the best ways to declutter your life. I love talking about decluttering because I spend most of my time decluttering. Since 2014, I have been decluttering nonstop. And that decluttering and detoxing your life and letting baggage go that you no longer need, letting things go that are no longer serving you, is one of the best therapies that you can have. And trust me, this therapy is free. It's one of the best ways of emptying your closet and resetting and rebooting your life and your mind to focus on the things that you need to do, the things that you like, focus on the future that you want to see. So those are just two key lessons, two reasons that I think now is the perfect time to write a book. So I see some comments out there. I don't know where you're joining. Rashida, I can see you. I hope you can understand. I'm speaking in English. I know you speak French. You're my sister friend from Morocco, now living in Austria. I see Odilia, another Syria author. Odilia, I see you. I know that you resonate with some of the things that I'm talking about. This is an open masterclass, so feel free to use the chat comment to share your thoughts and share your experience or whatever it is that that is going through you as you came into this masterclass. Okay, so I see all of you and I invite you to join the class and share. Now, that said, I am going to quickly take you to some of the reasons. I'll give you 9 reasons. I promise to give you 9 reasons why I think that you should write a book now. Why I think that you should write a book now. If the first 2 reasons did not convince you, now I am going to give you 9 other lessons. And for that, I'm going to share my screen with you. If you allowed me so that we can see the point, I took time to write them all down so that you really get this with me. So, okay. If you are right there, you'll see on the screen, those reasons are there and I will share them with you one by one. Reason number 1 is that becoming an author gives you credibility and authority. When you write a book, you take time, you do research, whether that research is about your own life, whether it is about the people around you, whether it's about the experiences that we're currently going through, whether it's about something that you know. But when you sit down to write, you do research and you write whatever it is on blueprint, right? You sit down, you type, and that typing process and the product that comes out of that process, which is your piece, whether it's a book of poetry, whether it's short stories, whether it's a long letter to whoever, whatever it is that you're writing, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, when you write, you become, you gain authority and you gain credibility. I know when I walk into a room and I say I'm an author, people look at me differently. The conversation is a completely different one. I know, I've coached kids to write books. When these kids walk into the room and they say, I am a Globuntu young author, the conversation is no longer around them being kids. The conversation changes immediately and it becomes a conversation about writing because you're recognized as an expert, you're recognized as an authority. And this is what writing your book comes with. Okay, I could expand on that, but I'll just keep it at that so that we can get to the other reasons why you should write a book. Number two, when you writing liberates you. I mentioned this already, that writing is one of the best therapies, one of the best ways to liberate yourself. So when you set out to write, and if you're writing an autobiography, and quite a lot of first-time writers, they start with an autobiography. And I think if you want to become a writer, it's always good to do an autobiography first, because when you write about your life, you take time to understand where you're coming from. You take time to understand the way you look at life. You take time to document a whole lot of important things around you that you otherwise may not know, because if you otherwise would not know if you have never written a book. So when you do that, you liberate yourself, you claim your space, and you set it up to be able to write other books. So, and when you're writing that piece that is about you, I say it helps to liberate you, because as we journey through life, so many things happen. Okay, so many things happen, and taking the time to open up your life and go inside and pick a few things, that lessons and that you have learned, experiences that you've gone through, re-examine them and sort them out, prepare them to become a piece of writing, a piece of advice, a story, a piece of entertainment, or what it is that you want to pass on to your readers, is something very, very magical. It's something that liberates you and help you to completely sort out your life. When I left Austria in 2015, so much was going on in my life. If you have watched my TED Talk, Shit Happens, Clean It Up and Move On, and read my book, this one right here, it's the same title, Shit Happens, How to Transform Your Individual Breakdown into a Collective Breakdown. You realize that writing that book really gave me the time to go inside of me and go through the different stages of my life, the things that I've gone through, and sort them out. That sorting process, that out-sorting and decluttering process really gave me the powers. It gives me the energy. It gives me the courage and the courage to leave a country that I have been living in for 20 years with 2 suitcases, to leave my kids behind. It gave me a peace of mind. It gave me serenity and clarity of purpose so that I could do the things that I'm doing. Had I not left, I wouldn't have written the 19 books that I've written for the time that I've been here in South Africa. And I would not have written the ebooks, and I probably would not be having this conversation with you. And I would not know all the young authors that have passed through me and some of the amazing people that I have coached to write their books. So writing really, really liberates and sets you free and gives you clarity about your life goals, give you clarity about your purpose, and just allows you to take stock of your life. Okay, that's reason number 2. Reason number 3 is that a book is an excellent way to share your message. Again, as we journey through life, we learn about so many things. We acquire knowledge, we acquire wisdom, we acquire lessons, we learn lessons, we go through experiences, we visit places, we acquire a whole lot of knowledge. And when you have that knowledge, you sometimes want to share. So one of the best ways of doing that is you sharing your knowledge with people that you know, sharing the lessons that you've learned with people. And so writing a book is one of the best ways to share your message. Whatever the message is, whether it's a message of encouragement, it's a lesson that you want to share with someone, whether it's experiences, whether it's motivational, inspirational, transformational, whatever it is, writing really, really helps you to sharpen that message and to be able to share it with the rest of the world. Okay, that was reason number 3. Reason number 4, why it is important to write a book. And I think everyone should write a book because we all have stories, right? So reason number 4 is that writing a book and becoming an author massively boosts your self-confidence and your sense of self-worth. Especially if you go through challenging situations in life, especially if things are not working for you. Sometimes you have the feeling that you are not worth anything. You think that the circumstances that are surrounding your life, whatever you're going through, makes up the sum of who you are. And you begin to act as if that was you. But when you set out to write a book, it means that you take time. You take time to activate the creativity in you. You take time to activate your gift, the gift, that wonderful gift that your creator gave you when you were created and sent into this world. And when you activate that gift, you and write that book, it gives you you activate your emotional, your spiritual, your intellectual, and your mental gifts. And this is something that will really, really boost your sense of self-worth when you know what you're worth in all those areas. And when you have done that and you have written your book, it gives you a kind of visibility. A book gives you visibility. A published author has a different kind of visibility compared to someone who just thinks like writing a story, or someone who carries their story or sit on their story or sleeps on their story. Okay, so writing a book really gives you visibility, credibility, and the authority and recognition. People go about to win awards for books, and I know that some of my authors have won awards, and this really gives you a kick. It gives you a kick. It gives you the recognition and the validation that we sometimes look for outside. So writing a book is one of the fastest way to getting that validation on your own terms and conditions, right? So, and the fourth reason, no, that this is not the fourth. The fifth one is that writing a book is quantum grows your personal growth, right? It quantum grows you. We are all here to grow. We grow through the things that we learn, through the experiences that we go through how the people that we meet and how we interact with them. There's so many factors that make us grow, but your personal growth, growing from the inside of you, writing a book is one of the ways that allows you to grow personally. Why? Because writing is a high form of creativity, and which stimulates your intellectual and emotional and spiritual your spiritual abilities and intelligence, so to say. So writing a book is one of the best ways that will help you grow personally. And again, when you are come into a room as an author, I mean, you've seen some authors, best-selling authors, they live from their books, and they are influencers, and people love them in the spaces that they come to. So writing a book really, really helps you grow personally. And I think this is, for me, the numbers 5 reasons why you should write a book. Number 6, I promised that I was going to give you 9 reasons. Number 6 is that writing a book, or writing whatever it is, helps you to recognize your family pathology. This is powerful. This is really, really deep. What do I mean by saying writing helps you to uncover and discover and understand your family pathology? We come from families that have cultures and traditions and systems, and some of these customs and traditions and values, we have lost them along the way, especially those of us who move from our families, from our culture, to live in different cultures, and we grow in those cultures, we embrace those cultures. Also, those of us who are still who still live in our cultures, I'm speaking now for those of you who are Africans, you will understand that we've lost a whole lot of what used to be our values, our customs, the principles through which we were brought up. In my generation, our grandmother was our TV. So we could spend lots of time with grandma, listening to stories and understanding legends and myths and a whole lot about our culture. And when you understand that, it means that you understand who you are, you understand where you come from. And if you know where you come from, you know who you really are, then you're in a better position to shape the future, to shape your future or the path that you are walking in the future. So when you write, especially if you write an autobiography, this gives you time to go explore, to go into your family pathology and discover some of those patterns and some of the trends and some of the things that will help you understand why you behave the way you behave, or why you do things the way you do. It may be in your family pathology. And until you go to uncover this and to work on it, you may never really know how this affects you. And when you get to know them, then you start a chance to either correct them or to change them the way you want, or to just understand that that's the reason why you do things the way you do, right? It's always good to know why things happen to you the way they do. And I think those of us who are Black women, those of us who are Africans, those of us who have children outside of our culture, those of us who had very powerful grandparents, grandmothers who come from powerful cultures that we do no longer know about. Writing a book is one of the best ways to go down that path and to rediscover them, to embrace them, and to pick up those that you may want to share with your children or to preserve for your great grandchildren. Oh my goodness. This is one of the reasons why I think writing a book is so important, because it helps you uncover, discover, own, and understand your family pathology. And that alone allows you to know how to show up in the world, how to it helps you to understand who you are and where you're going. It can also help you to reshape who you want to be and where you want to go. Okay, number seven reason why I think writing a book is so important is that writing is one of the best therapies. I think I mentioned this in the opening. It's one of the best therapies that you can do, because when you go to a therapist, when you go to a counselor and you're speaking, they interrupt you and they try to shape the pattern of what you're thinking. Okay, there is that interruption there, which is good. I'm not saying it is bad. It is very good. But when you pick up your pen and your paper, or you sit on your device to write, you are having a conversation with yourself. You don't have any interruption. The paper and the pen or your device is just receiving your story. You can pour it all in there without any shame, without any embarrassment, without any fear. And listen, when it comes to writing as a form of therapy, I think you may just start writing not without thinking that you publish. When you write, you must not publish. I encourage you to publish, but you may not. If you're writing as a form of therapy, you may just want to release stuff in you that really need releasing, so that you can find clarity, so that you can find some serenity, so that you can have calmness and a balance, that you can find some balance within you to become who you want to become. Again, as we journey through life, we acquire so much from our childhood, from the schools that we attend, from the spaces that we go into. We acquire knowledge, we acquire a lot of content without even knowing that we have. And all of this is stored in our cellular memory, stored in our subconscious mind, and influences the way we show up and the way we do things without us really knowing. So when you write as a form of therapy, you may just write because you want to give yourself that outlet. Ooh, writing is an outlet that allows you to unpack your life suitcases, to liberate yourself, and to give yourself the permission to be who you want to be. Because some of that baggage, when you carry it, it really, really stops you from stepping into your greatness, from becoming the masterpiece that you certainly are. Okay, so that's why this aspect, writing as a form of therapy, is so important. You know, sometimes you go through life experiences like divorce, the loss of people, loss of property, loss of material, loss of environments that you've lived in, loss of business. I mean, we've all seen that during this pandemic, that we've lost so much. And the pain of that loss, the pain, the grief that we have, is sometimes something that you need to offload. You need to offload in order to be able to just find that peace of mind, that space where you can be again, where you can breathe, and just be you, where you can touch base with your inner you, with your inner greatness, the higher version of you that resides within you. So when you write as a form of therapy, this really, really helps you to go inside of you and unpack those suitcases of all the experiences that have impacted you, some of them that have been negative. It also helps you to create a memory, to document the memory, because when you carry them all in you, and when you pass, we never know when our time is out, and you go with all of that. and you deprive the next generation of all the things that you have learned. And it is not for nothing that in our African culture, they say when an elderly person dies, a library, it's like a library has burned down. So all of those lessons that you've learned, they can be useful, if not to you right now, they can be to your children or to someone else, but you will never know until you write them down. And this is why writing is so important. And last but not least, number 9 reason why I think you should write a book now is because a book is your indelible legacy. Oh my goodness. A book is something that will always be there when you're gone. When you look at some of the great authors that had been, some of the great writers that have been and who have passed on, their names are still being said. Okay, Chinua Achebe is still very much here. Elechi Amadi is still very much here. Mongo Betty is still very much here. And the rest of them. Bessie Head is still very much here. Mandela is here. Kwame Nkrumah is here. They wrote. So when you write, you create a legacy that is indelible. It can never be deleted. When you leave that voice of yours behind because it is in blueprint. It will never go away. And believe you me, when your great-grandchildren who never knew you, when they pick up your book sometimes in the future, that's when they will know who their great-grandmother, their great-grandfather was, because you have created that legacy for them. Okay? And that legacy, that blueprint legacy is so necessary. You see, artists, they leave their voices behind. Musicians leave their music. Michael Jackson is long gone, but we still listen to his music. Fela Kuti is gone, but we still listen to his music, right? And a whole lot of others. From Cameroon, I will say Solomona is no longer. I don't know what are some of the other names. Some of the great, someone like Charlotte Mbango, one of the great musicians from Cameroon, they're no longer, but we still listen to their music because they left us that legacy. So if you want to become a writer, you have the chance to leave a blueprint legacy just like them. And just imagine if your great-grandparents wrote a book and you could pick that book now and sit down with your children and read, pick on the mind of your great-grandfather or your great-grandmother because they wrote something, because they left that indelible legacy. How incredible would that be? How would that be for your children to just get to listen to the voice of that great-grandfather or that great-grandmother that they never got a chance to meet? So this is the reason why I think it is so important that we write a book. I strongly believe that everyone can and should write a book. So if that is not enough, I will give you one bonus reason, and that reason is that it is an extra source of income, right? When you write a book, it gives you an extra source of income. You may not be a best-selling author, but when I moved to South Africa and started writing my books, one of the things that always gave me a little bit of money, was that I could always move around with my books. And when people buy, you have that money. Sometimes life can really be hard. And you have the feeling that if I had a product now, I will sell it. But I don't have one, especially when you deal with goods and services. It is so important that you have a blueprint legacy. Okay. So talking about dealing in goods and services, I also think that when you write, in whatever industry, whichever industry that you are, in whichever industry, when you write, you can actually write a book. And this is where my coaching process comes in. I coach you to write a book in a way that complements whatever services or products you're having. And just imagine you're selling your product or your services, and you have your book alongside as an extra product, an extra source of income, an extra product that generates an extra income for you. This is so powerful. And when you write and you train to become a storyteller, you become incredibly powerful, right? So these are some of the reasons why I think it is so important now to write a book. It's so important that we all write our books. If you don't want to publish, you don't have the courage to publish, it's all fine. But as long as you sit down to write, you will realize how powerful that is and how incredibly liberating, uplifting, empowering, and fulfilling writing can be. So let me sum up the reasons for you, the 9 reasons why I think you should write a book. One is becoming an author gives you makes you an incredible, gives you incredible authority and credibility, right? Number 2 is that writing liberates and help you to sort out your life, to declutter and and gain clarity, to let things go that are no longer serving you. Number 3 is that writing a book is an excellent way of sharing your message with the world. Whatever messages, whatever lessons you've learned through life, whatever things that you have, wisdom you have acquired, writing, you can share that legacy with the rest of the world without, beyond where you live, beyond your geographical location. Number 4 is that a book enormously, ginormously boosts your self-worth and your self-confidence. So I guess that is self-explanatory. Appearing, showing up as an author interact with you from a place of respect and from a place of dignity. Some of us, there's some moments when some of us just need that space of respect. Number 5 is that writing quantum leaps, quantum grows, not leaps, quantum grows your personal growth. It grows you personally because it is a form of intellectual exercise. It is spiritual, emotional, and intellectual. So it really helps to grow you for who you are. Number 6 is that writing a book gives you, it helps you to recognize your family pathology and family patterns that may be keeping you down, maybe not really helping you to be who you want to be. And when you embark on writing, you get to know these patterns, and you have the chance, you stand the chance to correct them. You can correct what you don't know, but when you get to know them, then you have the chance to correct them or to reshape them, or just to know why you are the way you are and why you do things the way you do or show up the way you do. Number 7 is that writing is a form of therapy, and especially in moments of challenges. So writing can be a powerful form of therapy. And number 8 is that your story can inspire and change someone else's life. We as human beings, we all look for inspiration somewhere. I think there's none of us who doesn't look up to someone else for inspiration, for motivation, for upliftment, for empowerment. We all need that as social beings. And just as we need that, someone else may need just that from us. If not our children, it may be our friends. If not our friends, it may be our community, or just someone who relates to our stories, right? And I personally believe that we get given stories, we go through stories, not because they are for us to keep. I believe that the one who sent us here make us go through situations so that we can learn lessons and then use them to help other people, either who are in the same situation, or to help them to be prepared when those situations come, so that they can act, and they can act better. So they can act better. Yeah, that's how I'll put it. Number 9 is that a book is an incredible blueprint, an indelible blueprint legacy. Your book is your indelible blueprint legacy because you can't delete it. It is something that will always be there. It is a lifelong legacy. It is something that your great grandchildren and the next generation will benefit from. We are still reading books from Cheikh Anta Diop, and reading Cheikh Anta Diop's books help us understand African history that we otherwise would not understand. Even if you're just writing about your family, someone will read and understand your family. If you're just writing about yourself, it is good because you're a citizen of the world, and so you have a part to play in world history. Someone will read your story and understand you from that space. So it is so critically important that we do not keep the experiences, the knowledge, the wisdom that we get given by the universe to ourselves, but that we document it. So those were the 9 reasons. And the 10 and bonus reason is that a book is an extra source of income. It is an extra source of income. You can always sell your book and make some cash, even if you do not become a best-selling author. Just having your book with you and going from event to event and sharing and selling is a source of extra income. So if you are still here, you're still listening to this, you would have gotten a whole lot. And I hope that your mind is racing just like mine. You're probably thinking, yes, I would love to write a book, but where do I start? How do I get started? I have never written a book before. And where is the beginning, where is the middle, and where is the end? I don't even master the language. My grammar, my language aptitude are not really very good. How do I get writing a book? I don't even have the time to write a book. We have all those reasons not to write a book. But I think at the end of the day, the reasons why we should write a book overweigh the reasons why we should not write a book. Okay? And in order to take away all those questions from you, I have gone through them. I have put together a masterclass. It's a five modules masterclass that I would love to introduce to you. When you come into that class, we treat all the questions that you may have, all the self-doubts that you may have, and all the insecurities that you may have that may be keeping you away from writing your first book now. So that masterclass is coming up next. And for the moment, I will close this part. In this class, I just wanted to give you 9 reasons why you should write a book. So you want to watch out for my next class, which is going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow, Sunday, there's going to be another class in which I will tell you, to walk you through the 5 different stages of writing, the 5 different stages of going from wanting to actually writing and having your book published and becoming a published author and benefiting from all the 9 reasons that I've given that are to write a book. Okay. I thank you for your attention. Thank you for having been here. So watch out for the next class because I'll walk you through each one of those steps, each one of the 5 steps that you need in order to become a published author one by one. And that will be in my class of tomorrow. That said, it was a pleasure having you in the class. It was a pleasure sharing. If you like the content that I shared, please feel free to like this video, share it with someone, put a comment. Tell me in the comment box below, what is the thing that is keeping you from writing your own story? What is the main reason? What is that main fear that stops you from writing your story? Put it in the comment box below, wherever you are, whether on Facebook or on YouTube, and I will pick it up. And if you're lucky, you may win a ticket to one of my classes so that we can debunk all of those myths. So that said, I am about to close this class. My name is Beatrice Achalake. I am the serial author of the Africa for Smart Kids book series. You will find me on all the... Let me stop sharing my screen and close this up properly. When I get passionate, I kind of forget that I should talk to you directly, so I just get into my material. So my name is Beatrice Achalake, the serial author of the Africa for Smart Kids book series and publisher of Globunto Books. I have written and published 23 books of my own, and have Globunto Books has published close to 50 books within the last 3 years. So I come from a place of knowing. I am a self-taught author. I'm dyslexic, which means I write with a lot of typo, but I am still an author, and there's nothing that I would do better than write. So if you wake up every day and your mind is saying you should write a book, if you think that you have a story inside of you that is cooking, that is boiling, but you don't know where to go, you don't know how to start to write it, I would suggest that you watch out for my next masterclass and that you come in and I will teach you where to start. I will shift your mind to the place where you can comfortably and enjoyably write your first book. Okay, that said, I will see you in the class, and thank you to those of you who showed up. It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure sharing my nuggets with you. See you in the next class. Up until continue to be well. I'll see you in the next class.